Now. That was weird. Alright. Let's get back into this. I'm trying to remember, where we last left off? It was... We discovered that the murder scene was actually in a completely different location. But we still don't know if this was a murder or just an unfortunate accident. And that's what we gotta probably go on at this point. Thank you, Lord Von Zieks. I'm gonna have to testify. Juror number 4. As I'm sure you'll appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today, witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truth of which the witnesses themselves may not even be aware. Dear me. So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Miss Gerardeb. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. That's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Also, the music. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. A witness, state your name and occupation. Yes, my name is Joan Gerardeb, and I'm a juror and such like. It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid, or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madame? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household in the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh, dearie me. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. I didn't know you were here, John. Wasn't only you in that room that day, old thing, was it? Or I think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John. I presume that you are John Gerardeb. Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. See my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Well, yes, quite. At least it may represent a person with a proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. Interesting that he's wearing his medal. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked the candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon headed out though, and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. I'd say I noticed 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. That bally thing in my victim's back really was one of ours. You'll have a job proving it, I think. It sounds as though it was quite a battlefield in your household that evening. Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. I had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say, I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that the surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer more anything that have testified already. This may be a dead end. Van Seeks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. See, I'm wondering what's going to happen at this, because if it is an unfortunate accident, are they still going to consider it murder? Yes, on the very day you're referring to, the wife and I had a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now.
Hold it!
The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked in the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garrideb. A rather passionate note, in fact. Mrs. Garrideb found the note, discovering her husband's little secret. And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he doesn't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. And besides, half of it was wide of the mark, anyway. A likely story. These waters run very deep. And what transpired next after the multiple blows to the face? Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon headed out, though, and got the window open. Let's press that. And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it? The bookcase, armchair, anything of mine, really. Just so happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out. Most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, while the water main isn't connected yet. Had to draw water from the public water pump during the day if you need any, you see. The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although, that little mustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe. The defendant, Mr. Natsumi, you mean? Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine, being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of the man? I believe he uses all his income to buy books. Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him.
Hold it!
Even though the room was on fire. As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. How did she know what I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was the knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge.
Jupiter!
A napkin? Hello? Do you have something to say to that?
Excuse me!
Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Garrideb. Don't shoot. Sorry. Beg your pardon? Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just like the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction. But somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker I seem to recall. Ouch. And the woman's aim is uncanny. She lands a direct hit with every ball it... Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with a teapot in here? Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. Well, take a look at this, then. What do you suppose that happened, Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. And when I went to pick up the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that kind of damage. I see. Your pipe was broken? Never been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. You're one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important. The defendant believes Mr. Garrett's remarks just now might be of great significance.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worth adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingregate yourself with a young lady. Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request is turned down. Okay, well, we have the evidence, so let's take a quick look. Oh. Okay. Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this? It's a tiny fragment of metal. Looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade. Surely it couldn't be... And then the knife itself has... Look here, Mr. Naruhodo, just at the tip. A small piece of blade appears to be missing. Part of it's missing? I could be wrong, but I just got a feeling... You remember this? That's the tiny fragment of metal we found inside Mr. Garrett's pipe. Yes, and just maybe... Oh my, it's a perfect fit. Somehow, I just knew it. That's unfortunate. Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Susato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Well, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Garrett. Now, if you could return to the crux of the matter, what can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed one or two went missing, I'm afraid. If that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think.
Objection!
I almost want to see where this goes. Mr. Garrett, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing. You can't? You used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment of the course. But that was some time ago now, even when I'm trying to enjoy your large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does. Dear me, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word.
You must be very busy.
I hate this. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact the crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. My pipe, you say? Jove, I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it's in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Brer Road? I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well, then. Present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of the entire case?
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you'll see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. A common issue with inferior blades that are unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim. No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrideb's pipe. What was that? That was a bit overdramatic. Good grief, Lord Von Zeeks. See, he's still doing it. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly. He's not even fighting us anymore. It's really weird. Order. Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery?
You should make it that something happens and you have to defend him.
Huh?
You should make it that you should defend him.
They did that already.
Did they really?
In the first game.
Damn it.
Like the prosecutor you fight the entire first game on, he's brought up on murder charges and you had to defend him. So they already did that. There is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle? So Von Zeeks has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrideb's pipe? That was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. I have this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. I knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles she did. Yes, never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between the two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mr. Garrideb flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrideb, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off. Of course. Wait, 1 second. Just chair. Good lord. Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrideb's pipe. The chance of that are 1,000,000 to 1. And yet there is no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. And then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garrideb's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back in the street below. If the prosecutor is smart at this point, what he would probably argue is, then how the fuck did it got in her back? Okay? I mean, it's obvious how it got in her back, but that is the route, like, okay. If the victim is walking in the street, you wouldn't think if something was falling from the sky, it'd hit her head, not her back. But which we didn't explain, she was picking up the book.
I was gonna say, she picked up the book.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 3 hours of book.
Oh gosh. Oh dear. Oh.
Objection!
A full-body theory. I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seeming trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Napanese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry. But after all, it's just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see, it's spoiled by an insurmountable inconsistency. An insurmountable... What? Lord Von Zeeks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... That's right, you silly little man. Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement below, being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife had struck her head falling from above, there's no possible way it could have planted itself in the victim's back. Oh, who could have seen that one?
She was bending down. Yeah, I just remember she was bending down.
Quite right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen from her from above, it'd be stuck around the top of their head. Well, he's lost for words. Look. I knew it. I never liked this theory in the first place. I don't know, though. What really did happen? It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. If the theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. We're so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency, and the theory will stand. Miss Sazato? You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind just went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there. It seems you have nothing to say, Manipani's friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is in fact fatally flawed.
Objection!
I swear I didn't play this before. This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying, counsel? There's a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness. Utter madness. Surely this needs to be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is...
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. Burnt book? Is that not Mr. Garrideb's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question. The victim's holding it in her hand. But as we all now know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so, as part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true, however. As part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. But what made you place the book in the victim's hand? Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. In other words, the victim had already picked up the book of her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have the book in her hand? Why Jingo? I think I'm beginning to see what you may have happened now. Dearie me. We know the book fell from the top floor of the Garrideb household onto the pavement below. At precisely that moment, that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment, the young woman was walking along the street in a light fog, when all of a sudden, the book fell right in front of her. The book I threw. Yes, Miss Garrideb. And what would you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose... she might have reached down and picked up the book. Yes, that's exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book. Oh, heavens. And when the woman reached down to pick up the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above, the jackknife straight into the middle of her back. And at the same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Suzuki Natsumi. Oh, I never. It appeared to Mr. Natsumi the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and in the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on for her from above. And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that accumulated an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Well, Mr. and Miss Garadeb? The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wonder if perhaps it might have been something like that. There, old bean. Poor Miss Garadeb. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book, and I threw the knife as well. John, dear, it's all right. I know. I'm ever so sorry. Truly. Like two cases where you just feel bad for the whole situation. Lord Von Zees, what news of Miss Garadeb? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events have left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could have easily been a terrible tragedy. They should be prepared themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctors believe she will regain consciousness soon. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time. We've never once met her. How wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that is good news. So, Mrs. Oki Natsumi. Yes. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture. To have been repaid with immeasurable kindness, please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsumi? That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Consul Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed too. I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're hunting me. Of course, Suzuki-san. His imagination really got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I'd never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I managed to create a rift in the relationship of the trust between our two empires. And for that, I'm truly sorry. One could indeed say this sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zieks, our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord? In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion. I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, you know, but I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. I say, I'll have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I hereby demand your final decision. Mr. Foreman?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Very well. Mr. Suzuki Natsumi, I hereby pronounce you not guilty. And finally, Mr. Natsumi. Yes, Lord Sir? You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh yes, sir, of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in this courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned. Okay, so here's the real question. What's going to happen to him now? Is this going to be another repeat of the third case? When we got the Magnus McGillett off and then he died next, like, within 5 minutes? Oh, lock him. Wait, you mean me? Of course. Is there another locum here? Is there even one? Compared to the ordinary locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with just using my actual name? Oh, at last, I'm free. Okay, actually, 1 second. Just in case they do that, post-trial decision thing. Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation. Heady, hearty, happiness, hurrah. Oh, I'm pleased. Mr. Tatsumi is delighted. It'd be so hard to just say that, then? Locum, you did it. You saved me from the brink. What happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault, after all. I'm just glad everyone could see that now. No, not that. Lovely, loyal locum lawyer. Yes? I mean, as I said before, I just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I looked over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. From high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at the little hunchback. Oh dear. I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsumi. But Today, you locum lawyer gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that barren bench before those babbling British. You battled the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold, the best barrister ever born." Well, that's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. It's given to me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? It's the come of all my hard work. There you are, my dear fellows. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. What a pleasure to see you. I see I'm here not a moment too soon. As disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh? The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo. I wish you the very best of luck. It's just finished. What? No. Then my haste was in vain. It's you. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsumi, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes. I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounter had been taking place in the gloom. Either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face. And the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor lady and ran off, are you not? Had she been taken to the hospital more urgently? Hey, Nocturnal Tina, how's it going? I feel perhaps she would have regained her consciousness by now. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anybody would have been shaken by such an experience. You missed the conclusion of the trial, but it's all good. We got one more case of this game. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Priceless. Oh, I'm so sorry, really, but... that was quite priceless. Poor Suzuki-san. Still, on the bright side, you had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And, it would seem, you were not even found guilty. There is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsumi? Even after this, I'm still cursed. By the spirits, and now by the Reaper. Ah, Lord Von Zeeks. I haven't forgotten, you know, what's facing the man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will be alright, Mr. Natsumi. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you. Why did we get thrown again? With a perfectly executed Sasato takedown. Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit warning might be nice next time, Miss Sasato. So, Mr. Natsumi, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experience to your friends back in Japan. Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh? It's already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelages of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. It's very touching, Mr. Natsumi. Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world, escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all. The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots, attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Suzuki-san. Could be an interesting read. And what about Miss Sasato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London, and only now does it feel that we've finally found our feet. And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right. We need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you can take my lodgings. The windowless room? What it lacks in windows, it more than makes up with a floor, a ceiling, and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind an accursed evil spirit. An evil spirit? She's talking about the cat. Yes, it tries to suffocate while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. Well, we'll think about it, if that's right, alright? Perhaps I can offer a more welcoming alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it's just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. Presume you have no luggage to speak of? Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to take lodgings in the great detective's office's attic. I'm too overcome for words. Suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Then it's settled. I will prepare a welcoming dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsumi. I insist. I don't know what to say. Thank you, and yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsumi. I shan't take long. Somebody's happy. Locum. I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsumi. It's been a privilege meeting you too. It's a shame we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day. Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I've little doubt Mr. Natsumi will be released in time for dinner this evening. Okay, so the question is he going to survive until dinner? And so, with Suzuki-sen's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home. 221B Baker Street. The 20th of February, 4:41 p.m. The attic room. So this is to be our new office, yes. Our office? I really like the sound of that. Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it? I hope you can see this, Katsuma. It's only a small step, but I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Ah, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, thank you so much. It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it. Good. I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We eat as soon as Mr. Natsumi arrives. We have a lot to celebrate. Iris, you must let me help you. Alright then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad. Splendid. So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us. Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises.
Smash.
Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is.
Sholmes?
Yeah, he took his
so
jacket off.
cute without his hat.
Sorry? London is a glorious place, full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights casts the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies beyond London's facade already. So once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London. Of course, at the time, I had no idea the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came to lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. Okay, so it should be the final case. The Hound of Baskervilles. I think I remember reading that a long time ago. I don't quite remember the story.
It's coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness. The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. "Look well, Wilson," Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. "For this is the diabolical Hound of the Baskervilles."
First 2 months in London passed by in a flash, and that disconcerting courtroom experience we had first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country, and Sasaki-sen's terrible ordeal that had followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court, which is hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by a fateful telegram. 15th of April, 9:13 a.m. Naruhodo's legal counsel, consultancy? It would help if I said it right. Consultancy.
You made that up.
That morning, I was woken by an unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy, but after he had gone, Sasato's son's behavior became very obviously strange. Sasato-san? Yes? Is it time to leave for court already? Let me see. What case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? No, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris-san said she would make us breakfast this morning. So should we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite? Yes. Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in the fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today? Here we go again. So, what was that about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean. Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing. Nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. It's just a boring old telegram. It's 3 times now she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. I suppose Sasaki-san would have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or just be a few days away. A fortnight ago, we had a very long telegram from him, don't you remember? Complaining of seasickness. And by and large, it seems the voyage has been going well. Is something wrong, Naruhara-san? I was just wondering what might have become of Sasaki-san had he stayed in London, that's all. You mean, as regards Lord Von Zeeks, the Reaper? Yes, I can't help wondering if seasickness would have been paled in insignificance in that case. What is it they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmarish trial ended the very day we arrived in London. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. But at least Suzuki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means that the curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the city of London, perhaps. Even if that's the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the sword of justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely not wielding that sword against more more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently Lord Von Zeeks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. Oh? Yes, since Suzuki-san's trial, he's withdrawn from judiciary service again, it seems. Really? Just like before. He wasn't seen in court for several years. So it's just been me who's had to face him in the recent spate of trials, then. Just my luck. I wonder, if luck doesn't come into it. Sorry? What was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. Okay, so let's go to Show Sweet. The Raples, Show Sweet. Morning, Runo. Morning, Susie. Good morning, Iris. Iris? What is it, Runo? What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled. Ah, yes. You noticed that, did you? Hurley isn't in the best form this morning, it seems. Okay, I was going to take a small break, but I couldn't have possibly have left it on that. That would have been torturous to anyone listening in. So I'll be right back. Okay, let's see why he's so depressed. Probably because he hasn't had a new case in a while, huh? If he's anything like the namesake.
No one needs him, so he's dead.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes? Good morning. Good morning. To die, perhaps. Something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable. And the way you were playing that violin before. My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Damn this blotched existence. That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence.
Okay.
I'm afraid I don't understand. Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Thank you. Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me. If it's not too much trouble. Aw, that's a cute cat. Oh look, it's Wagahi. Good morning, boy. So he subsided a tiny door for cats to use. But how did it get here? Well then, everyone, time for breakfast. Wonderful.
Prepare.
I love you.
Are you pushing me away?
No. It would indeed be a fine day to die. Ah, I knew something looked different. Something's missing from Mr. Sholmes' desk. Okay, let's see what's wrong with him. You seem very unhappy this morning, Mr. Sholmes. What happened? It used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its melosonant tones would make flowers bloom. It would? But now, the muses are unamused with me. The goddess of music has thrown me over. Hmm? What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? For hours I have bowed, for days even. Thoroughly the night I have endeavored to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone. Gone forever. No more recitals of unbridled emotion. Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley? Don't worry, I'm sure it'll come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddess of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man. The next, they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh, dear. Is this happening to me? They take the tune I have for the violin from me. What is left, for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but... your desk looks rather empty today. Oh, well done, Miss Sasato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh no, Mr. Sholmes. They pale in insignificance to you compared to yours. You struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Hurley's great analytoscope? That's at Windibanks now. Sorry? It's at a Windy Bank? No, Windibanks. The pawnbrokery. Pawn... what? You mean you pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has considerable value, you see. Quite undeservedly. But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I would have gladly passed what little income I have to you. Dear Madame, things are far from desperate. But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How could it be anything but desperate? Making use of a pawnbrokery is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is? It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. What's to understand exactly? Okay, why is he pawning his machines off? What did you mean when you said you didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. Banks? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily throughout the week. And then on Saturdays, they go back to recover their things using the money they've earned. No idea. It's a fascinating lesson for us. Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should the need arise. Oh, how ingenious. So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windibanks, you see. A pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. I would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain. Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley? What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. Why are you so depressed? Okay, so there's still something I can do. Anything I can present? No, I don't have anything over there. Let's go ahead and inspect Iris. Maybe she can tell us something. Mr. Natsumi's cat seems to have settled into his new home then. Oh, yes. And become very attached to the little Waggy. Huh. It would appear his previous owner is completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mews are as empty as the hearts of the muses. If Mr. Natsumi had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place. Because he would have taken him back if he could. But pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. And for good reason. Terrible things happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable. Yes, he really is. Yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from? Oh, you noticed. You're observant, Runo. Look, I used this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the cat flapomat. Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats? That's right. I can make a cat flap for our little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. You can do it to any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see. Wouldn't it have been quicker just to make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap? Well, yes, maybe, but now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make for one us the door of our office upstairs, Iris. She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. Oh, what was that? Wagahai? Oh no. What's going on? What was that? Oh no. Waga, he's tangled up in your violin. I think he thinks it's a toy. No. What's he doing to it? Oh dear. Mr. Shone's precious violin. Why should I care? What? I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is more accomplished musician than I. Just take some damn opium, dude. I think that's what he did when he ever got depressed. He just like shoot up and just
Shot with me. Makes you feel bad.
I don't remember. It's been a while since I've read the books. He'd get like depressive and then like either like I think it was either like he'd only feel like happy if he had like a case to solve or something. And then he'd perk right the fuck back up. The Shomes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Hurley? Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. So this is the violin, is it? It's a Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian Lutheran Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. Doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in the pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honorable of you. And until today, it had been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I ever made. I ask you, is there a reason to live in a world devoid of music, to tolerate this blanched existence? No. There is none. Mr. Sholmes. What, dear madame? What? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine. Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? What do you mean, Mrs. Otto? Oh, Susie's right. Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different. That's not all. I'm sure there were no cracks here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this? I'm terribly sorry to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all. Then what? I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola. What? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, are you alright? You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is this piece of string flotsam? Now your faithful performing partner, then. I see what must have happened. You do, Iris? This is just a simple mix-up. Sounds like Iris might be able to tell us what exactly happened if we ask her. Oh, did he pawn his violin before, and then when he traded it back, they give him the wrong thing? What do you mean by a mix-up, Iris? Well, you see, this violin... Sorry, this viola, I mean... was at Windibake's until last week. Ah, the pawnbrokers? And Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. There's a proverb from the East, with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel. Ah, yes, indeed. So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers and hoped that it would experience personal growth? Oh, what a wonderful idea. Last week, I pawned my great alenoscope in order to release my precious instrument. It would appear Mr. Windibake mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow temper of a piece of timber. But your every sense was deceived by the fact that it had strings. Pshaw, a fine state of affairs this is, and why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They'll try to fiddle you every time. But earlier you told us that you could think of pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault. Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect. Pressing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency on which we are faced? You must visit Mr. Windibake's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes? Precisely, Mrs. Sato. Without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to fresh your eggs with more obtusely. All right, say no more. Let us go, then. Don't worry, Bruno. I'll be happy to heat it up for you again later. Thank you, Iris. As it happens, I'm rather curious to see what this British pawnbroker looks like. Alright. So he's perked the fuck back up. Before we do that, we have Baker Street here. Let's go there first. Anything out of the ordinary we can look at? at all the different things in the window of the shop. Ah, that's Windibank's. The pawnbrokery. It's much smaller than the pawnbrokers in Japan. Yes, you're right. I find shops at home rather inapproachable, personally. It reminds me of tearfully parting on my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruto. Okay, doesn't seem to be anything here. So this is a British pawnbrokery. My, there are all sorts of tools and contraption in here that I've never laid eyes on before. Mrs. Zato-san, that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this. Yes, I don't know why, but seeing such things a lot I don't understand is a real thrill to me. See, fun fact, black coffee, salad, and cabbage have no calories. Eating meat while drinking coffee or eating salad cancels out the I don't think that's how that works. It doesn't sound right to me. My dear fellows, let's not forget why we are here. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, sir, welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yes, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruto. It's time to inform Mr. Windibank of our ire. Come, the fight is afoot. Okay, let's introduce ourselves. Naturally, you will recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes. The second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Windibank. The color of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size. A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. An excusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There's only one way to make amends. Is he running away?
Jesus.
Okay, I shall have to take my own life.
Shult's like, yeah, I guess.
I don't think that'll be necessary, do you? If I may just say one thing before I pop off. Yes? It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe. Sorry? As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch your violin when I heard, ah, here it is. You did? And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. However, there can only be no doubt the blame lies firmly at the door for allowing you to leave. So I not to grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me. No, 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 stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine. Phew. Well, that would have been really fun to have that on Twitch. And banned. It would appear that the fight is over. I do humbly apologize, Mr. Windibank. Inevitably, my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy. Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Hairlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition now, would you? I do believe you may be right, sir. It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I needn't remind you of that particular collection of items you brought through my door in the past. Oh? Peculiar items? In the extreme, madame. For example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Hairlock Sholmes or some such. Oh my, a new fully fledged novel? And unpublished? A story I have yet to read, you mean? Forgive me. Wait, before you die, you must tell me more. It's because black coffee or salad helps in weight loss by controlling hunger and strengthening metabolism. So it probably doesn't cancel it out, it just makes it you eat less. You must know more, tell me everything. Wow, Susato-san is really fired up now. Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof? Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see. I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Windibank. For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir. Not a farthing more. Houses something of great value indeed. The latest manuscripts, recounting the adventures of Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I beg your pardon. Manuscript. You wish to deposit a manuscript? Indeed I do, for I am confident it will be quite safe here. And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this? I continue to pay your fee, do I not? And kindly continue to store my belongings. Securely. Of course, sir, of course. They're safe and sound with me, I assure you, on my life. It's all very strange. I wonder, could I ask you something? Ah, a gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, it's stable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6p for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Sorry? Ha! But for your splendid attire, madame, 5 guineas, no less. The colors are exquisite, design exotic. Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say. My, 5 guineas, you say? How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I heard it said that pawnbrokeries are rather like a bank here in London. Yes, sir, indeed. Many of our customers utilize the establishment as you described. I appraise their items and offer them a propositional loan of 2 months of secure storage. If, in that time, they would pay the original sum to me plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned. What happens if they don't pay you the money? Then the items are offered for sale in my shop, which you can see on the shelves behind me. So you never sell items before the 2 months has passed, then? Right, madame. That's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders, should a customer's precious belongings be lost. The only recompense for me is to end it all. The very idea, Mr. Windibank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually. Says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning. And let us not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure that such a tragedy never occurs. What sort of measures? I engineered a simple device which Mr. Windibank has installed here in his shop. I call it the red-handed recorder. Is it not so, Mr. Windibank? What was that deep sigh about? What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some other timing device. Very astute. It's indeed a camera functioning with several hundred pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop. Here, I have an example I can show you. Yes, the print from the camera set to record the activity at the store counter. I developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in darkness. Really? That's extraordinary. Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it, look. So you see, if someone enters the premise with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals? Indeed, as you say, my dear madame. Then what if the incident were to occur in between times? One could only say that would be a cruel twist of fate. I must confess, your devices have been giving me some cause for distress of late. I beg your pardon, Mr. Windibank? Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word. What's the cost of the film, sir? You most graciously placed not 1, but 2 cameras in my shop after all, which means I must pay for the nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm even much older. Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbroker, you know? My dear fellows, we are on the verge of an age where safety and security come at a price. Oh, heavens help us. Now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin. Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Windibank. Perhaps this might mark the end of our peculiar items you try to pop, Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer. I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not. Sorry. I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed. That's not really what I meant. Good day to you, then, Mr. Windibank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes. So, Mr. Naruhodo, now we can explore at last. What do you mean explore? What is there to explore? What an assortment of things there are on these shelves here. Crockery, footwear, cloaks, and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine. There's a forfeited items offered by sale by the pawnbroker. What does that really mean, though? When you pawn, or colloquially pop an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he's free to display it in his shop for sale, at a price of his choosing. Yes, as you explained it, I'm noticing little price tags on everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest on the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform? No, it embodies my student spirit. Okay, well, I didn't want to look at that, but I guess I can't. Okay, is there really anything out of the ordinary here that I need to look at? Scanned thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Plugging that enormous ledger open on the counter there. Mr. Windibank is nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts. He has to be, otherwise he'd get himself in all sorts of trouble. I might explain the thing that catches my eye far more than the ledger. This revolver here. Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article herein, my dear fellow. I assure you, Mr. Windibank would not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed bellowing his portly size. You don't mean he blow his brains out? Indeed. Recompense for his blunder. Oh my. But in any case, of course we would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest it? Okay, so he's got nothing there. There seems to be a little door hidden by that curtain there. That leads to the storage room, where Mr. Windibank keeps articles that are currently in pawn. I see. There is nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any larcerous activity. Recommend it or not, it's not something I tend to do. There is but one key. Mr. Windibank keeps it in his pocket at all times. Before he sleeps, he places it in a small pot, which he slides under his pillow. How on earth do you know about that, Mr. Sholmes? I'm a detective, sir. It's my business to know what others do not. I'm frequently assailed by information I can neither care nor wish to retain. Mr. Sholmes, you are a wonder, and the prime suspect if the pawnbroker is ever burgled. Now, what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It seems to have two little windows for looking through. Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you are looking at is a stereoscope. A stereo... It's fascinating. It's aptly named, I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself. Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I have a look. Just before you do, there is something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically, as it were, you just need to be cross-eyed. However, if that is beyond you, is of little consequence today. Alright then, I'm gonna try it. Mr. Naruhodo, you must see, once. Alright then. So I need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose. What the? I don't believe it. It's just a photographic print, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it. Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are common of London's many fads. They're often found in little stalls in the park. You can queue for hours to see them. Why? Why are people meddling with such black magic? It's no magic, my dear madame. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. I shall save this lesson for another day. Oh. It's not a calendar you can easily miss, is it? 15th of April, today's date. Yes, it's not for sale, I must point out. It's an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight, I tear the front page to reveal the following day's date. Perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Windibank. And who was it that walked out of here with the wrong violin before? When they agreed, storage appeared as paths without payment. Articles are forfeited, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job. Okay, is there anything else for me to look at? There's a door, apparently, so we'll take a look at that. 3 globes of gold, and is that some sort of charm? Dear me, have you not seen that sign before? No, never. 3 golden balls are in Great Britain, at least, the universal sign of pawnbrokery. There are more than 700 such establishments in the capital, all showing the same sign. I see. I've not imagined your ignorance was so profound. Oh, well, what is the significance of the 3 golden balls, then? Does it have some special meaning? That is entirely unimportant here, dear madame. Irrelevant, even. You mean you don't know? Okay, is there anything else? Damn it. Investigate thoroughly. Nothing out of place here, so let's head back over here. Look at this. Look at this lovely big shiny box bee. That, my dear madame, is a music box. Surely you've had such things in your own country. Ah, yes. I've never seen one so large before. Shall we listen a while? What a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. Never heard of anything like that before in my life. This particular specimen is of the larger variety, commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There's a metal disc inside of which the notes to be played are recorded. Simply by placing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played. My goodness, a simply delightful machine. Indeed. Though the popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course. Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace. Wait, okay. I'm not seeing anything else. Oh wait, no, there's something here. Look at this. What could it be used for? I have no idea. There's a small catch just here, look. We're gonna open it, aren't we? Oh my, that's amazing. Some sort of spring-loaded mechanism, which we'll never manage to put back in the way it was before. What are you two doing? Us? Nothing? No, nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere. What? Only tumpus for it. That ain't fair, and you know it. The article is barely worth a penny, miss. I cannot offer more. Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter. Come on, that can't be right. Ain't you ever had a proper butcher's at it? I've seen all I need to see, young girl. Hey, it's her again. What was her name? Lestrade? Wait, don't we know... I'm sure I recognize her. Yes, it's a young lady. From Mr. McGill's trial 2 months ago. Her name? Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. It's commonly called a pickpocket. Gordon Bennett, you lot. Why do you have that gun again? Hello, Mr. Lestrade. I hope you've been well. What? You remember me, didn't you? Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure. So, what are you doing in here? Down and out like the rest of us? Nothing to eat? Come to pop that black weasel? Sorry coat, have ya? What's it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it? Good day, unless I am mistaken. You'd be the young pickpocket who stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher. Mr. Sholmes. So, you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see the article. I shall negotiate with the Mr. Winterbank on your behalf. Hold the other one. I don't need no help from stuck-up D. Get out of my business. Get on her. I'll make trouble for you. As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I'd happily remove myself from your presence. He's really done it. He's gone. I'm sorry, but as I said, there really is no room for negotiation here. What's that thing he has in his hand? Some kind of metal disc? And you, go on. Leave me alone. Miss Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offended in the slightest. Sada-san can really stand her ground when she wants to. Whatever. Somehow, I didn't really think you were the sort of person who used a pawnbroker, Miss Lestrade. Yeah, well, I am, alright? I'm a Londoner, just like everyone else. That a problem in it? No, not at all. It's just that, well... Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking. I think probably don't even belong to her. Probably got it from the dive, didn't she? Yeah, I could see it written all over your Chevy Chase. Oh, I might have been thinking something along those lines. You're not going to deny it, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright then. I'm just going to come out and ask you straight. Did you pawn things that you steal from other people? Well, I don't know how best to answer that, really. Suppose. Sometimes. You're not going to deny it either, Miss Lestrade? But not this time, alright? I swear. That thing belongs to me. This that Mr. Winterbank is holding. Perhaps we should see what he has to say about all this. Okay, so examine Mr. Winterbank. Miss Lestrade's disc. Mr. Winterbank, what exactly is that metal disc that Miss Lestrade had brought in? It seems to be hundreds of tiny little bumps on its surface. Ah, this is a music disc, you see. For use inside a music box. In a music box? What? You don't even know what a music box is? Eastern Law ain't too savvy, eh? I know what a music box is, I've just never seen one of these discs before. The small protrusions on the metal disc encode a tune to be played by the music box. You simply insert the disc and set the machine going, and beautiful music plays. It's so incredible. Tell us, what tune is on this disc? Well, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. There's so many different types of music box, you see. British-made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing which particular machine this disc was made for. I see. And that is it in a nutshell. I wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if the young lady forfeited it. Really, I'm already offering more than I should at a penny. That's a packet of lies. He told me he did. He said it was, well... He? Who? Never you mind. Just ain't right, that's all. The disc worth good money, I know it is. Well then, you'll have to try your luck at another pawnbroker, won't you? She's been in before, of course. This little tatterdamaline line? Whatever word that is. I see. Some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add. Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest customer, me. So, is there something dubious about the discs she brought in today? Well, if only were that simple. Sorry? What do you mean? What she actually brought in was a storage ticket. Storage ticket? So, Miss Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today? Is that right? Yeah, that's right. A girl like me has a lot of stuff what needs storing. Alright, yes. It's definitely dubious. The article in question would have been forfeit at midnight tonight. She gave me the ticket for it and repaid both the loan and interest. I was obliged to return the article to her. What was the article? Do tell us, Miss Windibank. Mr. Windibank. The little scamp is wearing it, madame. It's the overcoat she redeemed. What's wrong with that? It fits, don't it? I mean, it's mine. Of course it does. So, what about the disc, then? How does that come into all of this? Ah, the disc is something else. A new article to pawn if the girl and I agree at a price. I'm confused. I thought you said that Miss Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today. It's really quite simple. Yes, the child brought me a storage ticket, and the money owed on it, as you say. For this heavy black coat, which returned to her care, as I understood it. That's right, yes. And rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets. Oh, you mean... What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady? I see. So it came from the pocket of the overcoat, did it? If you mean this disc, then yes, exactly, madame. And she immediately tried to pawn it for quite a high price as well. It's all rather suspicious, I think. Give it up. Just trying to pawn something like anyone else would. Miss Lestrade, may I ask you who deposited the overcoat here in the first place? Well, I mean, it doesn't really appear to be your size. The old man. It's the old man's, ain't it? Is it, Miss Lestrade? Yes, it's definitely all rather suspicious. Out of my way, please. Who the fuck are you? Who is this picture postcard English gentleman? Good day to you, ladies. Gentlemen. What's your problem, eh? There is no problem, as long as you remove yourself. A matter to discuss with the proprietor. And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for the hiding you deserve. Look, ain't it obvious? I ain't done talking with them yet. You think you're such a gent, you should know that you have to wait in line. You are an impudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket. Eh? Who are you? And how do you know who I am? The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy to even remember the faces of your victims, it seems. What? You mean from you? Broker. Yes, sir? I believe this filthy pocket thief had just redeemed an article from you, no? Yes, sir. The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Oh my. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say... any music box discs, too. No, you can't have it. You just can't. It's the old man's, or it was. Now it's mine. Could dismiss an Naruhodo. This is a very awkward situation. I think perhaps we should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail. Okay, the gentleman's accusation. Miss Lestrade, is what the gentleman is saying? What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear on my life, I never laid eyes on that dandy before. Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? I take it you brought it in here just now. No, I swear to God. It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Wretched pickpockets. Yet again? Ah, yes, as you can see, I'm a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time that I've been targeted by these back-slumped scoundrels. I didn't want to say it. I didn't see it at first, but the way he's posing just reminds me of JoJo. He's like very Zappelli, like. Now then, relinquish my overcoat. Come along now, Mr. Lestrade. Give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police. Hold on. Why does everyone think it's me? Just look at this dandy cove. You think I'm the dodgy one? Sorry, no one's going to believe you. Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence that I stole something, eh? Come on, let's see it. Oh, I have evidence, naturally. You what? Evidence that the article Miss Lestrade redeems actually belongs to the gentleman? Of course. We need only consult Mr. Winterbake's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place. Yes, brilliant. I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible. Oh? I never ask customers' names. It's a strict policy of mine. But why not? Well now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity. Yes, I see. But then how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it? Oh, it's quite simple. Good sir, might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question? Of course, it's... Professor. Yes, that's right, and all the evidence we need. The gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without doubt. Watchword? Interesting. So, about the watchwords, Mr. Winterbank. As I just explained, I never ask customers' name when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why. Certain customers would like to keep their activities secret. That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it? We detectives have no dark secrets. None at all. Yes, well, anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. I love this game. It's like a mini episodic series that Telltale would possibly make. Yeah, the Ace Attorney series is amazing. I've been playing them for many years now. They're all good games. I'd strongly recommend them. The data deposit, a description, and a watchword uniquely identify each item. And of course, then I give the storage ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. And if that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article? That's right, sir. Yes, just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. And I've supplied you with the information you require already. For the avoidance of doubt, the article in question is an overcoat, deposited 2 months ago on February 15th. With the watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir. But how? Really, this is beyond a joke now. There's no further room for doubt. Okay, before we do anything else, let's go ahead and examine, because if Sholmes is around, he'd probably have something to say. Nope, Sholmes has disappeared again. Alright, I guess we'll talk to you. Picture postcard gentleman. Excuse me, but who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you. Sorry, yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here. Yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. Seriously, he just comes off more JoJo with every stance he does. Inhabitants live on some fiery brown-colored soup, dressed up with exotic spices. You might be thinking of somewhere else. What was that theatrical gestulation about? Perhaps. Anyway, if you are a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first before inquiring after the name of another. Of course, yes. I am Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer. A student of law, really. Yeah, so far this game's been pretty good. I'm on the last case now, but this game actually comprises of 2 different games. Each one has 5 different cases, so I'll be doing the next portion as soon as I get done with this case. I'm Sasato Mikotoba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's assistant. I see. My name is Benedict. Yes. Egbert Benedict. Enchanted. He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is suspicious. Now, to the matter at hand. My overcoat. Return it at once to someone with the style to carry it off. Every move makes... Every breath he takes. Can't stand watching him. God, fucking damn it, that was a reference, wasn't it? So, let that be the end of the matter. And to thank you for your custom, Mr. Egbert Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back. That's why I hate grown-ups. Just because I'm a diver, everyone thinks it makes me a liar. And the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir, here is a disc for you. Just this one? Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another. Another disc? Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be one of the pockets. I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you? Says who, huh? You know nothing about it. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. The disc is mine. What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Oh my, yes. There's blood on the disc. It's all because of those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them. I found it first, alright. I mean, it belonged to me, old man. So you're not having it. Oh, you take it. Me? If I hang on to it, they'll have it off of me again. So you keep hold of it. Miss Lestrade, why is this disc so important to her? The music box disc has been entered into the court record. The metal disc used to play music in a mechanical musical box. The piece of music which remains unidentified is stored in the disc by means of small protrusions. You there, in the black livery. Hand the disc to me at once, please. Actually, before I do anything else. Oh. Hello. Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck to the reverse side of the disc. Look. And a scribbled word or two. Looks like somebody's name. For McGillid. McGillid. It couldn't be. But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget, for as long as I live. Why? Why is his name on this? Oh, this is gonna be weird. Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny. Yes, the protrusions are called pins. You pluck at the teeth of the comb to make notes. Just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood. It's the blood of the mysterious Mr. Edward Benedict. When Mrs. Straw tried to grab the disc from him, the pen scratched his finger, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger. Just thinking about it hurts. It put me off eating radish. Okay, so that's interesting, because that was the name of somebody that we, from the third case, that we defended. Hand that disc to me at once, please. No, don't. He's lying. Perhaps they're all liars. What do I do now? How am I supposed to resolve this? Ah, there's Sholmes. Hey, Sholmes, you want to say something about this? What are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see.
Does he have a candy bar?
So, you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows, cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see my downfall had done to me. So feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst you shrewdly observe, gnawing on the only friend I have left, the 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? How could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my cravings of human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again. My dear madame, sometimes I wonder, for my genius for deduction to become, I don't know how do you say that? I don't know how to say that. Commoditized? That sounds weird. Commoditized? How much could I pawn it for? It seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration, but who knows it'll help us resolve the situation between Mr. Lestrade and this mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do? Listen to the deduction. Best part of the game, right here. Well, Mr. Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blue blazes have you been, eh?
Where places have you been?
Okay, well, I'm sorry I can't do the accent like you can. Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away. Not an hour later. Harsh. And who, pray tell, are you? Mr. Edward Benedict. You have, in my eyes, a veritable encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon? The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation, one you will orchestrate, intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, say you my deductions. How? He's turned as white as an hard-boiled egg. It would seem that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction. Just who do you think you are, sir? Ah, yes, as I hoped. It is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes, Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. I love these parts of the game. It's stupid, but I love it. Mystery Man's Aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you adventured into this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having you had the redemption ticket stolen you from on the streets. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is certainly something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you into the shop in the first place? It's a staff recruitment flyer. A piece of paper in your hand is a self-wanted advertisement of this very shop. Even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need for such employ. In other words, there's some ulterior motive for your actions. That cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What other rot? Had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. The end of the walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet, detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of the stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there's only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently fascinate the answer to the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you so evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle? Mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod is a broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the present. But the calculated crime you have conceived, sir, a wicked calculated crime. The tunnel underneath the pawnbrokery. Great crime. Now, Mr. Benedict, let's continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime for you have been planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggested I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel. What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose? Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Your furtive glance is telling more than I could have hoped. What? Let's consider what motive led a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council note and the counter which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. The letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works, beneath the shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs the bank at the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, we would have gained access to the waterway. That flows to the very close proximity of the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you? In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of underground tunnels. Master plan? Which brings at last to the final chapters of the lurid scheme. What plunder did the thief hope to make off with the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. Postcard of the Great Expedition? I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently in the final stages of preparation, the Great Expedition will soon be underway. and the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank, on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime you've been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of that bank. The special reserve funds to the Great Expedition. Of course, that is top secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this pawnbrokering puzzle. Mr. Sholmes? Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed. Though few know of its existence, it's one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me about it in the strictest confidence. But you just announced it to everyone here, rather loudly in fact. Ah, and if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be but one explanation for that. It is because the man is a criminal. What if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? He is a criminal, as you said. And buying a brand new shovel is sure to have been the first thing he does. It's sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret. Oh, or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windibank will. He's already had plenty of shovels here, after all. On my life, I assure you, I'm not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding you in the next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo, an excellent idea. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what you have to do, I'm sure. Yes, let's listen to the great deduction again. See if we can massage it into shape. Okay, before we go any further, let's go ahead and save, because it's been a little while. Okay, let's see where this goes. Very well then. Let us start once more from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured into this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed the pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, I brought you to this shop in the first place. It's a staff recruitment flyer. So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig through the floor. Yes, and attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is, where? What did Mr. Benedict bring here at this particular point in time? Okay, so... Ah, hello. Oh, look at all the scribbled note on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name Gina Lestrade, height 5'2", green cap, scruffy waist cap, grubby little white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness, there's even a sketch in her hat and all. Though if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade in his face for sure. Look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windibank's Brokery, Baker Street. Redemption date then, 15th of April, which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all this information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper?
Take that!
Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place was the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse side of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket, Miss Lestrade, and to Mr. Windibake's pawnbrokery here. Ah. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Windibake's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. You have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there's some ulterior motive for your actions. That cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. Other rot. I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. What's a ferrule? A metal cap commonly found at the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, the bit that makes a nice clinking sound on the pavement. Yes, exactly. Mr. Sholmes is right. It appears to be missing on this cane. It doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil, Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. Here, Mr. Sato. Some letters on the handle. Yes, those must be the initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their name. So Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously. Oh. HG? Why does this feel that it's not quite right?
Take that!
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. It was a astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Egbert Benedict? We were led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet, in the most possessive manner, you have here in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction, indeed, would you not agree? No, you're wrong. The cane isn't... You said before that you had the cane for years. So don't try to tell us you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in a park. In short, though you hold in your hand, you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. What was that sound? The recoil, sir. Something wrong? Well, in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer to the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind the rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding the riddle, you see. Let's consider the bare bones of what happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed a fine-looking overcoat. Now the mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from the writing description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. We heard a ripping sound, no? Yeah.
Take that!
The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the onset. And you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. This catalogue of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windibake. But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially mentioned has been considerably curtailed. So what is the great crime? Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. We must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have been planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawny article of ponage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place, how could I possibly know the irrelevant details? Non se passe? What? I don't know what that means. Oh, but the watchword could be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, I mean, your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the council note on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers, which is a pity because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windibank would have never allowed you to redeem the article. Or looking at it another way, if you did know the word, Mr. Windibank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Look at this, Mrs. Zato. It appears to be a memo that Mr. Windibank has scribbled to himself. Let's see. What does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Windibank must take a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. In the alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear. I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see.
Take that!
The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter on which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered by the notelet he has to hand. He then consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. But expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in the shop before your accusation against Mrs. Strahd. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Windibank. When the diligent broker made note of the watchword, as this is common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade. Master plan? It brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such great lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? You're quite serious. For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you were talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. The article we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which according to Mr. Windibank isn't even worth a penny, and yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo. Could we? Really? Better have a thorough look through all the evidence we collected so far.
Take that!
You see, the music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that? On the back? It reads, for Gilded. Mr. Magnus McGillid, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated its lack of scruples. So, You're an associate of his, are you? Perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGill was a man of unusually small stature, in fact. He was precisely the right size for the overcoat you've squeezed yourself into. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Egbert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today? Was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGillen. Well, Mr. Magnus McGillen. Not a name I expected to hear under these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Mrs. Otto. Well, according to what Mr. Windibank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, madame. Madame, that is correct. Today was precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today is 15th April, so 2 months ago today would have been the 15th of February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. But that suggests... Yes, 15th of February. It's precisely the day at which the omnibus murder took place. At 10:30 in the evening. It's precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It seems the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However, I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. It'd be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. What do? Absolutely not. There's some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. And again, it may not. Mr. Windibank, this is my shop. I cannot allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I would have to take my own life. Mr. Windibank, no. Alright, that's enough. Inspector Gregson. Inspector? That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised by one of our dedicated emergency lines. We got here as fast as we could. What's all this about, eh? Oh, praise be. You're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life into my very own establishment. It would seem you have the upper hand. Right. You lot have explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy. Petty. Mr. Windibank was very nearly met his end. Very nearly met his end. Yeah, by his own gun, as far as I could tell. Oh dear. And the whole of British could be met with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on. What on earth is the case, Inspector? Bear no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter. It's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station. But of course, Inspector. He's getting away. Get after him, lads. West of the beat officer, too. Sir. There's been a spat of thefts at pawn shops around here recently. I've only fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in mourning. Oh, yes? I'll be taking to whatever it is of Mr. McGill that's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Yes, of course. No, don't. Don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine. Sorry, miss. But anything belonging to Mr. McGill, it has to be taken as evidence now. As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, you have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. And so, we handed Mr. McGill's disc over to the Inspector Gregson. We're summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. The 15th of April, Baker Street. See, that's why I hate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you. Oh really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm? What? Oh my, surely you were given that. Yeah, the D-Lot let me keep it, after I looked daggers at it for long enough. He went through the pockets and said, go on then, have it, before telling me to scramper. Always pays off giving people a look like you hate them. Can't help feeling that it's going to get you into serious trouble one day. What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc of mine. The music box disc? Mr. Windenbank said it was practically worthless. I think I'm going to go and have another bash. Give him a long, hard stare. Think not, Miss Lestrade. You shan't enter Windenbanks again today. Why not? It's not fair. Can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now and taking a statement from Mr. Windenbank. But the disc's mine. I had the ticket for this coat and it was in the coat's pocket. There should be something else and all. It ain't what that rotten cove said, ain't it? Yes, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? Well then, that's mine too. Whatever it is. Now she's really pushing her luck. Miss Lestrade, I think it's time to admit defeat. You had your hole for the day. Yeah, it's all your fault, Sholmes. So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Huh? So you're delighted to cook, I'm sure. I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. No. Wait. What did she say? Nota? Why would I come around to your place, eh? Have you lost your head or something? Oh dear, she's gone. Having reviled on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering, perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. If she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guests at dinner table this evening. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later too. Sorry? I believe I'll have a rather splendid surprise to show you. How exciting. What is it? You'll have to wait and see, Miss Sato. Until later, then. Okay, so we can't go into the pawnbrokery, which is fine, because we've been in there for like an hour now. God, good fucking God. Let's go to the suite real quick. Check on Iris. Ah, Susie and Runo. Come in, come in. Afternoon, Iris. Thank you so much for breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already. Busy as always? I am. Preparing everything for dinner this evening. Ready? You're obviously cooking something special, are you? Oh yes. Oh, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. You'll never guess. Oh, look at the little eyes of her shining. Oh dear. Is it awkward when you already know the answer? Isn't it? It's Ginny. Isn't that exciting? Oh, what a surprise! Yes, that's wonderful news. Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. Can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional. It does sound like fun. I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Mr. Naruhodo? By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to? Is he being depressed again? Really? He's been like that ever since he got back. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. I beg that you won't speak with me. Sorry? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that. I do apologize when he gets like this. He's completely oblivious to everything. As I see. Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes. Hurley does. Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something of a parent-child relationship, don't they? Yes, except that the Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are. What's the matter, Bruno? You have such a funny look on your face. Oh no, it's nothing. I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right? How did you know? Oh, Bruno, I can read you like a book. This girl is dangerous. Don't worry. You can ask me anything, I won't mind. So, by Ginny, you mean Lestrade, the young woman from the McGillet case 2 months ago, right? Yes. Who else stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher? Although, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we're the best of friends. Oh, what a lovely tale. Yes. Now, if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh. So we chase after her down the back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I developed. Oh? There are so many beautiful colors in the world. Ginny wants me to make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Mr. Strud keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now. Poor Hurley. Can't wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited. Just hope she actually does come. Okay, so living with Sholmes. I'm sure you've been wondering why it is I live with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind that, and where are your real parents? Mommy and Daddy aren't with me anymore. Mommy passed away when I was born. And around the same time, my father... Well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of our cases and he and Hurley were working on. Oh, wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley? Yes. Daddy and Hurley were always solving mystery cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries. There was one in a metal chest over there. Really? He recorded them all? So, you mean it's true, Mr. Sholmes? Really did have a partner which he tackled some of the most taxing cases. Oh yes, I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father? Exactly. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in that chest. But that only made me want to look even more, so I opened it up. Found your father's memoirs? Yes, so I asked Hurley, who wrote these? He nearly fell off his chair. Then he told me. When I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father, so Iris's father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. I've practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So it came as quite a shock when Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy. I mean, I must have done, I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you at such a young age. Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me. Oh? Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say his ways have rubbed off on me. There's some things I could just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes. Right. Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's why it inspired me to write The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, actually. I always assumed Mr. Sholmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he's solved a case, it's all but vanishes from his mind. See, the other day it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he had just solved. So the very next day, he gathered up together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone. I'd say that again. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so I can earn a doctorate as well. Iris' father, who went to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke no Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right. Visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yumi University, and the man who in the most bizarre of circumstances lost his life just before we left Japan. Like I said in the past, like all the pieces start coming together in the final case. It's interesting how it we'll see how it all kind of comes together. Mrs. Sato. Yes? Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best.
Your dad's dead.
Ah, my dear fellows, how good to see you. Mr. Sholmes. Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you? I've been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really? Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin on skates? My violin? Whatever are you talking about, dear madame? Oh, never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows. Oh, another music box disc? No, not another disc, Mrs. Sato. This is one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence. Mr. McGilden's disc. Oh my. Then, what's it doing here? You know, at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be more adept at larceny. Oh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant, and Runo could be your go-to lawyer if you ever got caught. Right. Plus, Susie has a beautiful handwriting. She can write all your menacing crime notifications. Yes, I'd be delighted. I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Okay, so how the hell did you get it? But this looks silver. Wasn't the other one gold? Or made of some other material? I don't understand. How did this come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Sholmes. Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you will humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. Don't tell me he made a mold of the disc into the caramel and then recreated it. I'll be taking this whatever it is of Mr. McGill that's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yes, you did. I still don't understand. It was precisely that moment that I summoned one of my one and only friend into action. Hey, Nocturnal, how's it going? I pressed the disc into a pair of bars like this. That's amazing. The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image in the caramel. Indeed, this caramel is quite exceptional. I developed myself, you know. Suitably soft for making impressions, but resilient to melting. The result of precisely controlled solution. You missed a little bit of excitement. We had a little bit of deduction earlier. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the game. How extraordinary. Carrying a pair of these in one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press in its unique form is duplicated. It can enter anyone's property at will, and never without high sucrose nourishment. Yes, it sounds illegal. From the image, I'm able to create this. I confess I was most curious to what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. Do tell us, then, Mr. Sholmes. What music does the disc play? Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea? None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not. Goodness, you don't know, Runo? Inside a music box, there's a special metal piece called the comb, that produces the sound. Small protrusions pluck the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music box is to be invented by using a rotating cylinder which turbulence on it? But over time, a new type of player was produced, which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide, all around the globe. Why exactly? I like how this is just basically a music box version of his own theme. Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result. It's wonderful to be able to enjoy music even when no performer is present. But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with the insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another. We have no way of knowing on which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There is no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intractable. I see, so that's why. Naturally, I tested the disc in those few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. Though, I'm presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe. Every single one? That's Hurley for you. Always taking things too far. But my dear girl, an all-solved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. Surely all the different types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true. In the worst case, I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room. What? Okay, we ask about Magnus McGillid. Magnus McGillid. Not a name I expected to hear again so soon. Yes, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Mr. McGillid's perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows, still now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash, but a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. Even though we successfully established Mr. McGillard's innocence in the trial, the newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. The murder of the brickmaker, thrice-fried mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We have no idea what really happened that night. And altogether, Mr. McGillard was found not guilty due to my defense. I still don't know if it was the right judgment or not. It would appear the case is not yet closed. Well, it's time I started getting things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long. Thank you, Iris. Oh, well, you must let me help you then. Of course, Susie. There's plenty to do. I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it? That'd be a lesson to you, Mr. Sholmes. Never leave anything too precious with the pawnbroker. Yes, you may be right. That reminds me of something Mr. Winnebeck said before. He said he had a manuscript of Iris in pawn, didn't he? Did he? Yes, he definitely mentioned it. Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom, were his words, I believe. So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Yes, the idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Winnebeck's storeroom gathering dust. My dear madame, I'm quite sure I told you already. The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place of all, more secure than the bank's vault. And what about your Stradivarius, Hurley? Was that safe and secure? Well, there may be the occasional mix-up, caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from me now. Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that Bakerville story, Hurley? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of Baskervilles. I should love to read it. What's going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room? Susie, what did you just say? You said the Hound of the Baskervilles. But how could you know the full title? Well, that's because Mrs. Otto is such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Sholmes, of course. But Runo, the Hound of the Baskervilles has never been published. What? When I showed Hurley the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet. I don't understand. That's why he said he'd keep it safe, until it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see. So that's why the manuscript is at Windibanks. And yet, how could Susie here know its title? Well, Hurley, what's going on? Ah. What is it, Mr. Sholmes? It would appear our guests have arrived. Miss Lestrade? This is a bad idea. I knew I weren't welcome. I'm going. No, wait, Miss Lestrade. We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris? Yes. Just wait there, Jeannie. We will have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Right, of course. It's a pleasure to see you here, Miss Lestrade. Please, make yourselves at home. Don't stand in the doorway, my dear girl. Come along in. What say you to some meddlesome? I won't take no for an answer. Meddlesome it is, then. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. The show's violin performance was in no way meddlesome, and Gina, as we came to call her, taught us all about how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves, well into the night. 15th of April, 9:34 p.m., Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. It was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it? Yes, Iris's cooking was truly divine. I feel as though I can still hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Sholmes' violin even now. Best of all, that I could steal the glasses from his lordship's face next time we're in court. Naruhodo-san, can I consult with you about something, I wonder? What's the matter, Susato-san? It's about the telegram I received. The one that arrived first thing in the morning, I suppose. I've been summoned. What? Summoned? What do you mean? The telegram was from the Lord Chief Justice's office. Lord Strongheart has asked to see me. The Lord Chief Justice? When? Tomorrow morning. Then we have to start preparing at once. No, that won't be necessary, Naruhodo-san. I've been summoned alone. Alone? What on earth for? I have no idea. I suppose I shall find out tomorrow. What's all this about? Whatever it is, it's making me feel very uneasy. Oh, who could that be, I wonder? Good evening, friends. Iris, hello again. And Gina, too. Yes, Jeannie's going to be staying with us tonight. She's going to sleep in with me. Isn't that right, Jeannie? Oh, yeah. Oh, lovely. Let's make a pot of tea. You know, I learned so much today. What in particular? All those things Ginny showed us, wasn't it wonderful? Oh, you mean all those pickpocketing techniques? We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we? I think I've awakened a natural talent. You could earn a living from it. You might be getting ahead of yourself a little there. So, what brings you up to our humble quarters at this late hour? Well, you see, I came to return this. Wait, what? That's mine. Hi, however did you... I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it. Yes, I'd forgotten. Iris literally is a child genius. So anyway, here. You can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it, though. Thank you. Alright then, good night. Yes, good night. So this is your office, is it? What do you think, Ginny? I think I'd rather fancy me chances via a lawyer what lives in a... I think I wouldn't fancy me chances with the lawyer what lives in a place like this. Yes, me too. It seems as though Iris here still has something she'd like to talk about. I suppose she probably wants to talk about the manuscript. Yes, I suppose she probably does. Okay, so let's go ahead and save real quick. Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscripts, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me? I'm so sorry. I need a little more time, please. Alright, I understand. Hope I haven't made you feel awkward. Oh no, not at all, Iris. Not at all. I don't know what all this is about, really, but... the story you made up, isn't it, Iris? This mantle script, or whatever you call it? It's not exactly a story that I made up. It's something I read in Daddy's diaries. Daddy's... That's right. I don't suppose I've mentioned it to you before, Ginny, but my daddy was Hurley's assistant once, his partner. Huh? They solved all sorts of strange and mysterious cases together. Is that right, mister? Apparently so. As surprised as you are now, though. My daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diaries. So I studied them and wrote my stories based on what actually happened. So, where's your old man now, then? He had to go away on urgent business, to a faraway land, and he's been gone a very long time, so I never really met him. Oh, right. Come to think of it. I don't know anything about Gina's parents either. Perhaps we should ask her. One traumatic backstory at a time, please! I know this is an anime game, but goddamn! Iris, this Hound of Baskerville's story. I take it it's another tale inspired by your father's accounts? That's right. I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow. From the other cases, I mean. How? I don't really know, but it must be special in some way. After all, I'd written it, and I showed the manuscript to Hurley. He turned as white as sheet. The first time I'd ever seen him like that. It pains me to have to say this after you've toiled over for so long, Iris. But this story must not be published at this time, under any circumstances. Why not? It's one of my best works. I'm not at liberty to say. Not now. So please, do not ask me. Alright then. I won't. But I do solemnly swear that I will explain everything one day, Iris. When the time is right. And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windibank, isn't it? Yes, Hurley said it'd be somewhere very safe. Really gets my goat, that does. He's treating you like a child. I mean, that's what it is, keeping secrets like that. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes isn't trying to be mean. He said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it. I'm sure he must have been a very good reason to. I think so too. You lot are too trusting for your own good. But he can't pull the wool over my eyes. Sholmes is lying to Iris. Bet my life on it. What? Hurley's lying to me? Okay, let's talk to Ginny. I've realized I don't know anything about your parents, Gina. I ain't got any, have I? Never did have. Oh? Look, the East End's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us. From the minute we're born, not even our moms. But we all stick together. The other ones look after the little ones and make sure they get by. So that's why you're a pickpocket. Nah, having's my life. I love it. I get a kick out of it every time I lift some pompous idiot's purse. And that's how we all afford to eat. I'm like Robin Hood, ain't I? That's how I see it. Oh, Gina. I do think about it sometimes. Would it like to have parents, I mean? I always thought it'd make everything right. But having listened to what Iris just said, it sounds like having parents ain't always easy either. I mean, if you never had them, you don't feel like you always wanted to meet them. It's true. I do want to see Daddy so much. Well, that ain't gonna happen. Oh, Iris.
Sure? I mean, we were just talking about having parents. Not having parents could be fun. Whee!
Gina, what did you mean by when you said that you didn't, you know Mr. Sholmes is lying to Iris? I reckon it popped that manuscript or whatsoever, right? But come on. It's obviously a load of rubbish. Why would you think that, Gina? It's simple. If that story was really in old Mr. Windibank's storeroom, there's no way someone from half around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris. If you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. Hurley would never do something like that. I'm sure of it. Herms do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, a lot of them. He just realized it yet. I'm telling you, that manuscript ain't at Windibank's. You'd soon see if you had a look. If you think you could trust him. Even if you think you could trust him, I don't. That Sholmes is a liar like the rest of them. Well, if I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. See? I don't mean it like I think he sold it. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Don't be too hard on yourself, Iris. Oh my goodness. Look at the time. Come along, Jenny. You should go back downstairs. Yeah, alright. And please, don't mention any of this to Hurley, will you? No, of course not. Good night then, Iris. Good night, Gina. You must let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning. I insist. Oh, yes, please. I can't wait, Susie. Good night, then. Iris. Sure is easy to forget, isn't it? Sometimes she speaks just like an adult, but deep down, she's still just a child. Well, I think it's time that I turned in for the night, too, Mr. Naruhodo-san. Yeah, how... Okay, if I had to guess... Her summons to the Lord Chief Justice is going to end up with us representing her in court. I can already see that being a thing. Dr. John H. Wilson, Iris' father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at Yuma University. It can't be mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on. Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Naruhodo. Voice. That's Mr. Sholmes. What's going on? It's the middle of the night. It's Miss Lestrade. She's gone. Gina? She was supposed to be sleeping in Iris' room, but her bed is empty. She's an independent young woman. She decided to go home, no? I think not. From speaking to her before she retired, I received a distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfast with Mrs. Sato. No, I don't believe the girl had gone home. But I've been waiting for over an hour now. Over an hour? Oh. If you'll indulge me, look out the window, my dear fellow. What's this about? Wait a minute. Why is there a light on at this time of night? It's Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery. Mr. Windibank's? Oh no. It's simple. If that story was really in old Mr. Windibank's storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris. If you ask me, you sold it. I'm not telling you. Could Gina have gone? It seems we have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Oh no. No, not really. Well, anyway, we must investigate. At once. Mrs. Sato? of April, 1:14 a.m., Baker Street. The door to Windibank's... it's open. And the lamp is burning. It must be Gina, wasn't it? Let's hope it's nothing more sinister. What? Come, there's not a moment to lose. Clearly something is afoot inside. Well, I was gonna end it here, and just kinda, stop the stream, but I don't think I can end it on this note. There's no one here. Oh yes, there is. Mr. Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes! What the? Has Sholmes been shot? Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo. But after them, go! Right.
Oh, look at his pretty face.
Last! I've lost him. Hello, hello. What have we here? The alarm was just raised from the pawnbroker, sir. Do you know something about that? Officer, come with me. My friend, Mr. Sholmes. He's been shot. Shot?
You got here.
I can't do that. No, stop that. But the policeman close behind me, I ran back to Windibank's.
Mr. Sholmes!
Mr. Naruhodo.
How bad is it? Never mind me, but there's much at stake. Behind that door. In the storeroom. Hurry! It's Gina!
What do you mean? Jones.
Okay. Okay, that wasn't what I was expecting it to go. I thought for sure we would be having to defend Sasato-san or something, but I guess we might have to defend Jenny? In another locked room murder case. Okay, but we'll have to figure that out next time, because I'm going to end that there.